Hey everybody, it's Tracy from Downward Dog Rising, and I want to give you a plank exercise that'll help you strengthen your obliques, the sides of your rib cage, sides of your waist. Internal, external obliques are going to run on diagonal fibers. They're going to be on diagonals, like slings wrapping across you. So I want to get those to turn on. And one of the reasons why it's so important, because if you have one side that's turned on and strong and the other side isn't working, it doesn't turn on readily, you can actually lose the stability of your pelvis and have your hips flip out of alignment. Your hips can hike, they can rotate, all kinds of things. So we want to keep our obliques working properly to help us stabilize. So let's start off on a side plank. So you're going to swing your legs to your side, and I'm going to have you drop your shoulder out of your ear. Keep your chest open, collarbones wide. Now you're going to stack one ankle over the other, and then I'm going to have you make sure those bottom ribs feel like they're lifting along with your hip bone. Extend your arm, and you're just going to hold, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and 8, 7, chest is open, 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2. We're going to switch sides. Just going to work really uniformly tonight, not going to complicate anything. Collarbones are wide, neck is long, bottom ribs are going to elevate. Press the mat away with your hand. So you stack your legs one over the other as I kick things. Lift those bottom ribs up, chest is open, and hold for a 10. And 9, chest is open. Get those ribs connect. 8, and 7, and 6, 5, and 4. Lift those bottom hips. 3, ribs lift, and 2. Last one. Come around. Modified. I'll show you modified. Always avoid collapsing ear on shoulder. Modified, you would do this. You could do this by lifting, just having your hand wrap around your waist, and then you'd come down. We'll do 5 like that. Here's 4. Here's 3. 2 more. Lift the bottom of your waist up and wrap it. Last one. Okay, next we're going to extend, and then after you extend, I'm going to have you hold your plank again, come into a full plank. You're either up here or shoulders out of your ear, and you just lift up so you're on your side plank like that. Chest is open. Either or is fine. You choose. Up to you. Stay safe. Listen to your body. Okay, so we're going to stack our legs. We're going to open our shoulders and our chest, connect from under the armpit, and we're going to lift. Whoops, you have to be straight forward. You're going to lift and down, lift and down, lift and down, lift and down, lift and down as I wiggle everywhere. Lift and down. 3 more. Lift and down. 2 and down. Last one. Lift and down. Then we come across to the other side. And I already know one of my obliques is weak compared to the other. So I really am trying to get myself organized so I don't lose my alignment. And then if you have scoliosis, it's easy for your ribs to do what my ribs are doing right now. They just fall right out. You have to be really careful that you just don't let the ribs go, because we could have functional or structural scoliosis. And then functional is like your everyday life, the way you do stuff. You could pull yourself out of alignment in a heartbeat with repetitive use. And you don't want to injure yourself repeatedly if you do the same motions over and over and over all day, and you use the same side, same arm, same angle. You just can really do havoc on your body. Like right here, you could just see me twisting. So you just have to make sure you're aware of your mechanics and what you're doing. All right, so you can do this like, let's do 5 of these modified lifts. You're lifting up, open your shoulders, your chest, bottom ribs lift, come back down. So you elevate up, think of a sling lifting you off your mat, and down. 3 more. Use your core. It should feel like something's really pulling and lifting you up from underneath you. Exhale, lift, chest is open, shoulders away from ears. 2 more. Exhale and lift. Last one, exhale and lift. Okay, so that's modified. You're welcome to do this. Go straight out. For the next one, you would anchor your blades down your back, and you would just lift your leg, lower your leg. You would lift the leg, lower the leg. You would lift the leg, you would lower the leg. Or you can come into your full plank, and then you would just make sure your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, everything follows the same alignment. That way, if you're way out there and you're supporting your body, you're hurting your shoulder joint because you don't have your body mechanics properly aligned and you're overloading this whole entire joint. You just have to, it's physics, human physics, anatomy, and motion. You just have to align your joints properly, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then you transfer the load across your whole body. So then you make something hard a lot more easy. So we're gonna take arms open wide, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. We align our entire body. We get those ribs to straighten out. Our collarbones are wide. And once you have the right angle, you could just lift the leg, lower the leg, lift the leg, lower the leg, lift and balance. And 7. This is my strong side. You can tell 6 and 5. I could balance 4. I'm not all over the place. 3 and 2. We start from right where we're at. And last one. We lift and then we lower and then we come down. Awesome. So I wanted you to get that effect of getting both sides of your ribs to really open up and lengthen. So you strengthen your obliques on both sides of your body. And now I'd like to take it into a deer pose from yoga. So we're gonna parallel our front leg. Our knee and our ankle are gonna go parallel with our shin. And then we're just gonna take our back leg as if we were doing like a little Pilates mermaid, but we're facing forward rather than sideways. So this hip is aligned with this kneecap. And then basically, we're just gonna float our arms up into the air. Now, we wanna make sure that we're not rotating our pelvis. We don't want our SI joint to fall out of position. We don't want to rotate our pelvis so one side is more rotated than the other. We're trying to find balance, evenness. So find the point where each half of your pelvis, your sits bones, settle securely into your mat. You rise up to the top of your head and just settle for a second. Settle down into your hips. You might need a yoga block. You might need a yoga blanket. Either or is fine. And then what you do, you stretch up into the air. Once you feel that elongation in your spine, be conscious of keeping your hips back. And then we start to float forward. We keep stretching our hips back behind us. Our sits bones are on the mat. And we gently are going to fall forward. Elongate your spine. You can even use your yoga block here. And we're just going to stay here and breathe. Bring the floor up to you. We have low, medium. This is high. So we can use our block in different ways. We have high, we have low, and we have medium. I'm going to use mine on low. My neck is long. My shoulders are out of my ears. And I just notice my hip is way elevated off the mat. So what happens when you notice your hip is elevated off the mat? You go back to the root. You go back to your beginning. Find your center, shoulders over hips. Lengthen through your spinal column. Keep the pelvis down. And then my hip is down now. So I got ahead of myself. I just went forward and I lifted my hip up and was ready to go. So I went too far. That if you did the same, stop yourself and just go with where you can maintain your sits bones on the mat. Stay here and breathe. So instead of my forehead coming to the block, this calls for my forearms coming to the block. That will safely keep my pelvis underneath me. Stay here and breathe. So I'm mixing Pilates and yoga. Well, yoga also uses planks along with Pilates. I guess I'm using the Pilates concepts with the yoga positions to go deeper into the body and trying to get our hips to stabilize so we don't have our alignment go out, where one hip rotates forward, the other hip goes back, and then one side hurts. I'm just trying to get your sidelines to open up, your obliques to get strong, and if one side of your obliques doesn't even activate, that's a problem. We want both sides working. Otherwise, we reinforce faulty movement patterns. And we have faulty movement patterns, it breaks the kinetic chain and it creates a lot of unnecessary stress. So we want to move with efficiency. So you're just going to stay here. See if you can come forward a little more. Oh, I just felt the back release. Beautiful. You want to feel that lumbar dorsal fascia in your low back, those ribs pulling away from the back of your pelvis. Just enjoy that nice deep stretch. Stay here and breathe. Those ribs pull apart. The pelvis is still in the mat. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Your body will adjust. It'll go deeper. And in yin yoga, when we hold our pose longer, we bypass our muscles. We get deeper into the structural integrity of our joints. We release hyaluronic acid. It has 1,000 times the affinity that water has when it binds inside of our joint capsule or socket. So basically, that webbing, we bypass the muscles. We develop strength, tensile strength in our joints. We support our joints with that lubrication just by holding our poses longer and breathing into the stretch. Since our bodies produce hyaluronic acid, why pay for it? You can just make it. Just take the time for yourself and make it. One more deep inhale. And your body naturally falls and it just goes into it more. You just give it the space, give it the time it needs, and it just falls into where it needs to be. Let's take one more deep inhale. And slowly we're going to make our way up. Once you come up, we're going to take our legs, pull them together, little windshield wiper, and then we're going to switch. Parallel your knee with your ankle, make that straight line. Now, if you have a knee injury, a replacement, or surgery, then I wouldn't recommend bending it backwards. That could be like too much tension on the joint. So if that were the case, just keep the legs straight, work on keeping your sits bones down and hip hinge forward. So there's always ways to modify things. So once again, we want to get our sits bones. You could see that big space right underneath there. I could feel how there's like hike, rotation. So what you do, you have to root down, ground down, find where you can get each half of your pelvis to stay on the mat, And then you elongate through your sides. So you stretch upwards through the spinal column, breathing in, breathing out, elongate up. One more deep inhale, feel that lengthened spine. From here, we're gonna feel that crease in our hips. We stretch our spine tall. Now the trick, keep elongating up through the spine, and we keep our sits bones and our pelvis securely down on mat. I can see that little space there. I'm just trying to pull. I can feel there's the rotation right in through the center of my back. It wants to take me that way, and I'm trying to listen, trying to reorganize my body so I can keep my ribs straight. Listen to your body, sits bones on the mat, create length. Sometimes you may have to do less range of motion in order to properly keep your alignment. So we never want to forego proper alignment to go deeper. Like if I want to go all the way to the ground and I force myself and I rotate my torso and I'm always halfway sideways when this exercise calls for aligned shoulders over hips, then what have I done for myself? Nothing. I'm only exacerbating what's going on in my body. So you have to kind of slow down sometimes. Take note, what does your body like to do? And you stop yourself. So feel where you can effectively keep your proper alignment. And we're not trying to be perfectionists. We're trying, how can we best align our bodies to be healthy? Because a properly aligned body can hold structural support with less effort, less energy, and it's more efficient. So there's a reason for it. So we're not trying to be perfectionists. We're trying to be efficient in our motion and in our holding patterns, how we hold our body in space. So we're just breathing in, breathing out. You'll hit a little wall and then you'll go bypass it. So just give yourself some time to release into the next phase of your stretch without bringing your sits bones with you. Keep going with it, breathing in, breathing out. Soften, yield into your stretch. Breastbone long, head away from tailbone. And as you catch yourself cheating, if you catch yourself cheating, you might find by pulling your sits bones into the mat, breastbone lengthening forward, that low back area, that lumbo-dorsal fascia starts to pull apart. You start to give yourself some more room in the low back, between the back of the rib cage, between the back of the pelvis, the back of your iliac crest. We get that space to lengthen. Stay here and breathe. Maybe use a mat, maybe use a pillow. Keep those sits bones behind you. Keep your alignment. Stay here and breathe. Sits bones pull backwards behind you. Breastbone pulls forward in front of you. Oppositional lengthening. Ida, Pingala. Subtle energies up and down the spine. I'm intuitively going into my body to heal, and I'm just flowing with what motion naturally occurs within the system, what feels like it needs to release next. So I'm just going with what I'm internally registering within myself, and hopefully someone else can benefit from the same. Let's take a couple more deep inhales here. After getting each half of our pelvis into the mat, we're going to do a straddle pose after this. Breathing in, breathing out. One more deep inhale. Softly release. Gently start to walk your hands in. Press into your palms. Once we lift up, we're just going to get our hips to release for a moment. Bring your knees together. Do a little hip opener, hip release by little windshield wiper. And then we're going to come into our straddle right after this, okay? Because we had our pelvis shifting forward, back, getting our sits bones down. Our sits bones are coming down now. And basically, I want you to just stretch your legs to the sides. And then you want to feel like those hamstrings, there's 3 different ones. Lengthen them into the mat. Bottoms of feet, you're going to push through the arches. Bottoms of your feet, you're going to push energetically from your hip down the leg through the balls of your feet. Each sits bone is on the mat. Lengthen up. Knees need to be up to the sky to protect the integrity of your hips. Knees face up, toes up. Stretch. We're going to stay here. Lift the arms over your head. Sink. When those arms rise up, ribs knit together. Let your sits bones sink deeper into the mat. Weight your pelvis evenly. Feel the energy flow up and down your spine. Right there, I feel equal balance in each half of pelvis. Each sits bone is there on the mat. From here, I'm going to bring my blanket, my yoga blanket in front, even with my block. Lengthening here. I'm going to start to hip hinge forward, keeping kneecaps to sky. I'm going to start here, just gradually going into it, just stretching gradually. Relax. Shoulders away from ears. Neck is long. Breathing in, breathing out. Being conscious of each breath going in and going out. When you give, go a little deeper, connect, spine is long. It's as if those 3 hamstrings are gently being rolled into the mat, spreading outward. Medial and lateral, and the main one, biceps femoris. Once you feel it give, go a little deeper. It just happens naturally. Keep lengthening your spine. Maybe you'll bring your forehead to a mat or a pillow. Neck is long. Stay here and breathe. Breastbone is long. We don't want to round our thoracic spine. We want to keep mid-back nice and elongated so we don't disrupt the energy flow of our spine. I'm going to feel that low back open up like space, decompressing. Those thighs are lengthening. Blood is flowing through, circulating. We want the vital nutrients and the oxygen to enter the muscles so we can get rid of all the waste byproducts. Each exhale carries away the waste products. It's important to slow down, to heal. Feel it give, go a little deeper. And we're going to take a few more breaths here, sinking deeper, releasing, giving, yielding, breathing in and breathing out, softening. Receiving, being open to receive. Let's take one more deep inhale here. And slowly, gently press into your hands, coming up. All right, we're gonna draw our legs together. Maybe shake out your knees. And then we're gonna do a little stretch. Little reverse plank, straighten out your legs. Feel how your abdominals pull all the way tight to your spine. Open collarbones wide. Fingers face out. Unweight the shoulders by connecting from underneath here, pushing all the way down to get those shoulders down and back. Now you're going to elevate your pelvis, scoop in, activate gluteals, and come up into your reverse plank. Hips to sky. Core tightens into back, lift pelvis, little counter pose, stretching spine long, chest is open, breathing in and breathing out, tighten core to low back, engage glutes, lift a little higher, and gently release back down. Excellent. All right. So last thing that I want you to do, I'm actually going to have you come all the way down to your mat. And then I'm going to have you lie down on your back. Maybe you'll reach under, pull your core really tight to your spine. Feel the low back inch down, section by section. Come all the way to your mat. Excellent. You're going to press arms down by your sides. Bring your feet hip distance apart. Lengthen between ribs and hips. Shoulders away from ears. Knees in line with hips so they don't splay out. And then we're going to press hips to sky. Feel the point where there's no weight in the neck. The collarbones open wide across your chest. And you're going to clasp your hands together underneath your back as you tighten your core, press hips to ceiling, engage gluteals. Feel the front of your thighs stretch. Feel the hip flexors stretch, keeping length and spinal integrity in low back. Breathing in and breathing out. Soften your sternum, your breastbone. Breathing in and breathing out. Soften your breastbone so your chest melts down and your ribs connect. One more deep inhale here. Now exhale, soften. Soften your breastbone, ribs connect down and front. One more deep inhale here. Collarbones wide. Expansion, exhale. Gently, we're going to unclasp our hands. Stretch arms into the air. Reach slightly back. Really emphasize ribs connecting in front. Slowly place one vertebra from center of spine between blades into mat. Roll down. Roll down. Bring hands up a little higher. Roll down. Stay centered. Each side of the spine connects all the way down. Good. Hug knees into chest. Breathe into the space mid-back between your shoulder blades. Exhale, release. One more time. Breathing in and then exhale, release. All right. Slowly release. Turn onto one side. Stay here for a moment. Feel spine long. Breathing in, breathing out. We're going to slowly press into our mat, coming up into a seated position. And since we worked our obliques earlier with those side planks, I'm going to have you stretch and stretch the whole side of your body. Ribs are straight, shoulders out of ears, collarbones wide. Sits bones down on mat. So we're just looking for that structural support in our body and our alignment. Strengthening our obliques, strengthening our core, lengthening our spine. One more deep inhale here. Stretch that whole side open, keeping each half of your pelvis securely rooted into your mat. Rising up, lengthen up to top of head. Let's go to the other side. Sink down. Now we're going to just crisscross opposite side. Lengthening up. Keep sits bones on your mat. Ribs face straight, shoulders over hips. And you're just gently opening up this entire side as well. Collarbones wide. Breathing in and breathing out. Feel some space open between rib cage and hip bone. Open that whole side a little deeper. Stretch apart. And one more deep inhale. And gently you're going to stretch that arm coming up. Gently bring hands together. Anjali Mudra at your heart center. Feeling peaceful, feeling grateful for taking this time out today to replenish our body's vital resources, our vitality, our energy. Take a moment, going inward, feeling appreciation to yourself. And I thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Appreciate you all. Peace, everybody. Take care. Bye. Oops, I think I just stopped.